Have you ever stopped to think about how much your life actually weighs? Not your body, I mean your memories, your experiences, your entire digital life. Well, we're going to dive into this wild connection between data, actual physical weight, and the ghosts we all leave behind. Let's get into it.
And this is really the big question we're tackling here. I know, it sounds kind of out there, right? But it's a question that's grounded in some seriously fascinating science and some really deep philosophy. It basically pits the way our technology works directly against the way our own biology works.
And this is where it gets really interesting. On one hand, you've got the world out there, constantly piling up data, and literally getting physically heavier with every single thing we save. But on the other hand, you've got your brain, which has to get lighter. It has to forget things just to make space for what's actually important.
All right, so to really wrap our heads around this, we got to get physical. Let's start with the hard science of how data itself has weight.
And I want to be super clear here. This is not a metaphor. This is real physics. It all goes back to Einstein, right? Energy has mass. And data, when you get right down to it, is just stored energy. You're trapping electrons to make ones and zeros, and that adds energy to the system. So yeah, every single time you save a photo or a document, you're creating a tiny gravitational burden.
Okay, so how much weight are we really talking about? Well, if you take a 1 terabyte hard drive and fill it to the brim with data, it gets heavier by about the mass of a single virus. I know, it's unbelievably tiny. But the point is, it's real. It's measurable. Our collective digital memory has actual physical weight. Okay, so our data has a physical weight, but what about the conceptual weight, the weight of all those traces we leave behind online? Well, that's where we get into our digital ghosts.
There's this really useful idea from a philosopher named Maurizio Ferraris, and he called it documentality. Think about it. In the past, most of what people did just vanished into thin air. It was ephemeral. But now, we are living in an age of incredibly high documentality, where our lives are being cataloged in ways that were never possible before.
And look, this isn't some abstract thing. Just think about your own day. Every like you hit, every text you send, every link you click, every photo you take, every time you buy something, all of it. It's creating this high-fidelity, time-stamped record of you. We're building this permanent version of ourselves. And honestly, most of the time, we don't even give it a second thought. And these traces, this is what we mean by digital ghosts. They're buzzing with activity while we're here, for sure, but they also persist. They just keep floating in this huge ocean of documentation long after we're gone. It's like a version of us that never ever fades.
We can actually break these ghosts down into 3 different types. First, you've got the nominal ghost. That's just your name, the label for you. Then there's the figural ghost. This is your image, what you look like, captured in countless photos and videos. And finally, you have the ripple ghost. This one's the subtle domino effect of your actions on the world. And don't worry, we are definitely going to come back to that one.
Okay, now let's switch gears completely. Because while the entire digital world is busy recording absolutely everything, our brains are doing the exact opposite. They are literally designed to forget. And this is the central conflict, isn't it? The world around us is getting heavier and heavier with our data, but our own minds are in this constant struggle to stay light. Forgetting isn't a bug in our system. It is a critical, absolutely essential feature. So here's a quick look at how it actually works. You've got this part of your brain called the hippocampus, and all day long it's just grabbing new memories and associations. But it has limited storage space. So what does it do? Every single night while you're asleep, it runs a cleanup. It actively deletes the recent memories it deems less important to make room, and then it offloads the really crucial stuff to the cortex for long-term storage. Just think about that. Your brain has to delete parts of today just so it has room to save yesterday. So what happens when our biological need to forget clashes head-on with a digital world that never ever does? Let's look at a powerful and frankly tragic real-world case.
Back in 2014, Michelle Carter was charged in connection with the death of Conrad Roy. What made this case so unique and so relevant to our conversation is that their relationship existed almost entirely through thousands and thousands of text messages.
And this just nails the whole concept, doesn't it? The prosecutors didn't need to find witnesses to testify about the relationship, because the digital documents, the texts, they weren't just evidence of the relationship. In a world of high documentality, they were the relationship. The digital ghost had, in a very real way, become the person.
So this all leads us to a pretty profound final thought. If our lives are increasingly becoming this collection of documents, what does that say about our physical existence?
Let's zoom out and get a little philosophical for a second. If our identity is so wrapped up in these digital breadcrumbs, these documents, then what even are we as physical objects? Are we really the solid things we seem to be? Well, there's this wild philosophical idea called mereological nihilism, and it basically argues that composite objects, like you or me or a chair, don't really exist as single things. Instead, all that exists are the fundamental indivisible particles, the simples. What we call a chair is just a bunch of those particles arranged chair-wise, and a human, just particles arranged human-wise. And if you look at it that way, it kind of reframes everything. From this perspective, you're not a thing made of matter. You are a process, an event, a pattern that is being temporarily hosted by matter. You're the seeing, not the thing being seen.
The philosopher Alan Watts had this absolutely beautiful way of putting it. He said, the universe doesn't just contain people, the universe peoples. He used it as a verb. Just like an apple tree apples, the universe peoples. We're not just random things floating around in the cosmos, we're an expression of the entire cosmos itself. And this isn't just a poetic metaphor. Remember that ripple ghost we talked about? It's real. Your physical mass exerts a tiny gravitational pull on everything else in the universe. The subtle way your body is pulling on the planet Saturn right now will be a real physical factor in how and when its rings eventually collapse millions of years from now. You can never be truly erased.
So let's end with this. From the weight of a single virus added to a hard drive, to the cosmic ripple of your own existence, it all leaves a trace. Long, long after your name is forgotten and your photos have faded to digital dust, the universe will be fundamentally different simply because you were in it. The very arrangement of matter will carry your ghost forever. So the only question is, what kind of ripple will you leave behind?